Welcome to Horror Cinema Obsession. Here, we dive deep into the chilling depths of horror cinema, from the critically acclaimed scares to the laughably ludicrous, and even the delightfully obscure. Now, let's join our hosts, Richard and Angelus, as they share their love, laughs, and sometimes sheer disbelief at the world of horror movies.
All right. Welcome back to Horror Cinema Obsession. I'm your host, Richard, and this is my beautiful co-host,
Angelus!
All right. Angelus, how you doing today?
Fucking PG, man. How are you today?
I'm living life. You know what I mean? 24/7, 7 days a week, y'all.
What you sipping on over there?
Just some
You're
A&W
double
root beer.
fisting.
Just drinking some good old-fashioned root beer.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. No, I'm doing pretty good.
Surprisingly.
We have a special guest that's been staying with us for the week, little Benton.
Bento Bear.
I don't think I've ever talked about him on the podcast.
Because you don't fucking love this poor dog.
He is a dog, and I love him. He's my bro, but I couldn't take him to this house because my roommate at that house wanted to keep him, didn't want to break up the two dogs, even though clearly Benton's living his best life today. Throughout the week, he has, dude. We had been playing fetch every day. He's a border collie, so that's all he lives to do is play fetch literally all day. So we had a good time outside, and that's pretty much been the theme all week. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. He warms my heart. Hopefully we can keep him for the rest of the weekend. That'd be great.
Yeah. Very nice.
How do you feel about Benton?
Oh, man. He has a lot of energy.
He does.
He does. He's just like, you're trying to talk to him, and he's like, the ball, toss the fucking ball.
Yeah, he's an addict.
Yes. He's getting adjusted. He seems a little anxious at times. He's like, oh no, it's all different.
I think you just got to work him out. Like, I've been working him out. So we're going to see tonight if he's a little more chill.
Okay.
But anyways, besides that, I'm excited to have you. Shout out, Ben. But besides that, we have a good movie. It was interesting to say the least. We'll get into it a little bit more. Is it horror or is it not? We don't know, but I'm going to justify my reasoning. Do you want to tell the kind listeners what we are covering today?
La Casa del Fin de los Tiempos.
The house at the end of time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Good job. Yes.
Can you repeat it again in Espanol?
La Casa del Fin de los Tiempos.
That is a mouthful. I can never figure that out.
It's the house of the end of the times. It's what it literally translates to.
End of the times. Okay.
Fuck out of here.
No, so I liked the movie. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty slow moving, and this is the first Venezuelan film I've actually watched. So coming into this cold, I was wondering, what the hell? Like, this is like very tame for horror movies, especially the ones we've recently been watching. What was that one, Inside? Where,
yeah,
Jesus,
that was completely opposite.
compare it to this. This one is relatively tame. This is like I don't know. It's like Barney.
Barney
or Teletubbies, man.
No, I mean the other one was like very body horror, very extreme, very in your face and bloody.
Yeah.
I feel like this one to me felt more like a mystery, psychological horror.
Do you want me to fix your mic?
Yeah, I felt. I'm like,
okay.
Oh no!
I'll walk away. Keep talking.
To me, I liked it. I can see why you saw it different. To me, it had a feel of like the soap operas that I used to watch when I was a kid. Just from the drama, the nostalgia, the different characters, the kids. And then also just the background, I guess, from just having that background knowledge of the country and what it is. You know, it's a very religious place. So I guess it wouldn't be completely crazy to think that this is one of the first horror movies that they have. The other thing is the economy is not the greatest down there. So to get...
Well, don't hold it, but leave it like that.
Okay. To get funding to make something like this, someone would have to front all of that money.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was trying to fix your mic. Jesus Christ. I don't know how you broke that off.
I just pulled the whole thing to me, and then
It's fixable. It's threaded, so I can't until we take apart that mic. I could technically pause this, but we're going to keep rolling.
I'm just going to sit like this.
We do have a third mic here. But no, if you need me to stop, I can.
It's okay.
Okay,
I'll
you're
make it
going to
work.
be all right?
Yep.
Okay. Getting to our next segment, do we just want to dive into this?
Yeah.
Since we kind of already did, but so I was kind of surprised on this as far as budget. Again, I don't know in the grand scheme of things as far as their economy and stuff, but what I read was kind of a struggling economy. But this movie got approximately $300,000. To me, that doesn't seem like much, but it is over there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then this movie grossed 4.4 million worldwide.
That is nuts.
That is a significant success given its modest budget.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. When I seen that, I about killed over because I've never heard of this movie.
I don't think I had before either.
And then who recommended this movie?
Corey Rory.
Oh, shout out. I haven't talked to him in a while, man. Hopefully you're doing well. But no, this is a good recommendation. I truly, it was interesting. Would it go in my top like horror? It's not really my genre, but it was an interesting take on this type of movie.
Time travel.
Yeah. So this film holds the distinction of being the highest grossing horror film in Venezuela at the time of its release. Its critical and commercial success helped put Venezuelan horror cinema on the global map. Didn't you read this was considered the first horror film in Venezuela?
Yeah, first psychological horror movie in Venezuela.
So Venezuelan horror, there was predecessors before this, and I did do a little deep dive in this, and I tried to document as much as I could. So Venezuelan horror cinema is relatively niche compared to its counterparts in other regions. But there are some noteworthy predecessors to The House at the End of Time. While horror wasn't a dominant genre in Venezuela cinema, the films and works before it contributed to its foundation. Do you want to hear some of the movies that I found?
Yeah.
So, and bear with me, you're going to have to help me with some of these pronunciations, so correct me if I am wrong, but La Casa de Agua?
Uh-huh.
This was made in 1983.
Oh, wow.
It's a psychological thriller with elements of supernatural horror. This film tells a haunting story of guilt and betrayal in a rural Venezuela setting. It was an early attempt to explore eerie atmospheric storytelling. I'd be kind of interested to kind of see where that was on that.
See where it is, yeah.
And then the second one is, God, I'm going to mess this up, but Macu, La Mujer del Policía, 1987.
Okay.
What's that translate to?
Maku, the woman of the police, I think is what you said.
Woman of the Police? Yeah. Although not a traditional horror film, this social drama contains dark and violent themes, touching on corruption and abuse. Its gritty realism and psychological tension resonate with horror films. So the theme of this, they have traces of horror, but they're not full-on horror. And I just got a few more. I have one, Oriana, 1985. The director was Fina Torres. This film isn't pure horror like the other ones, but includes gothic and supernatural elements with its story of an old mansion harboring secrets. It foreshadows the house of the end of time and its setting and mystery. And then I did find one. It's El Vampiro del Lago, the Vampire of the Lake. And this was made in 2008. So it fast forwarded all the way from 85 to 2008. It's a modern take on vampire lore set in Venezuela, blending local myths with the universal horror themes. This film paved the way for more experimental approaches to the genre. And then just two more. The one was Marora, which was more of a drama, and then short films and urban legends. So Venezuelan horror before the House of the End of Time was often confined to short films, folk tales, and urban legends passed down through generations. Stories of La Seona El Silban and other regional myths heavily influenced the tone and content of Venezuelan horror cinema.
Interesting. So not a lot.
No, like there's traces, and this is probably as close as they've gotten. Like the short films and urban legends is as close as they would get to horror.
I did see after how much success the movie had, New Line Cinema bought the rights to produce a remake. And
I'm kind of interested. What do you think their take would be? Because they'd have to up it some way.
So they are trying to bring back Hidalgo, the director, to be a part of it.
Ooh.
To be the director and producer. And I was looking to see if it's been made. The only couple articles that I was able to find says
it hasn't.
It hasn't made yet. They were saying there was an article. I think it said 2025.
Yeah.
Or 2026, 25 or 26 is when they expect the remake to come out.
Oh, wow.
But there's very little to no information on what the remake looks like.
Okay. I would suspect, one, I'm kind of glad they give him a second chance of doing this because we'll get into it. He hasn't had a lot of experience since that movie. He's only came out with that movie and one other that I read.
I have a few things for him where he was director, and then in others he was, associated either by producer, writer,
Gotcha.
one way or another.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what you have. But no, I think giving him another crack at it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think he would change a few things, and with a better budget, I think he's a good storyteller, so his vision was good. So I think giving him a bigger budget would definitely improve this movie.
Is that what we're moving on to, the director, or are we going through the cast?
No, I did have a couple other things, and I think you in your notes you covered, why horror wasn't as big of a genre in here. Because usually areas that we've covered, Spain, Mexico, France, it seems like everywhere has a strong horror presence.
Yeah.
But this place, for whatever reason, doesn't.
I know, pick me. I'm just kidding.
I know it's kind of.
That was your bone.
Well, because you had something you could touch on is religion is a big thing there. Where yes, religion's big in Mexico. Yes, religion's big in Spain and everywhere. But the way religion affects it here is they don't want to hear about it. And from what I read, was superstition. They're very superstitious culture.
The other thing, so Venezuela has had a history with, yes, they're a Latin American country. They are by default very religious, along with all of Latin America for the most part, I feel like.
Yeah.
So they fall within that realm. But the other thing is their government is very restrictive since 2013, which is when this movie came out.
True.
So I can see after that having a hard time coming up with new concepts. So I do have a little bit because I know that it's been in the news a lot lately. There's been a lot of people trying to move desperately out of the country because they're in extreme poverty. People are dying of starvation. Yeah. So historically, Venezuela was one of the wealthiest economies in South America with the previous president. But under the new current president, Nicolás Maduro, the economy has collapsed by 80% in less than a decade.
Shit.
There's been, like I mentioned, millions of people that have left because of corruption, shortages of goods and food, unemployment, and mismanagement. So they were wealthy because they have a huge load of oil is what they're known for. So they sell oil to other countries.
Yeah.
So, but there's been a lot of corruption and mismanagement in the oil section since 2014.
So a lot of economic challenges, right?
Yes. As of 2024, the inflation is about 59.61%.
Holy.
And then
I thought inflation was bad here.
No. In 2015, it was 100% inflated.
Oh my God.
So 2014, they feel it stabilized at 59.61 with a poverty rate of 90%.
Wow.
And then from 2020 to the most present, I have that about 53% of people live in extreme poverty to where they're not able to buy basic food items. In 2013, they went through a shortage of, toilet paper, milk, flour.
Which kind of coincides with the movie.
The background.
It depicts a lot of that struggle, although it was
her with
late
that
70s.
house.
Yeah.
Remember that house when they struggled all the time the kids
Yeah.
went to bed, no food?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing was, so they have Universidad Hospital of Caracas. At one point back in 2013, also, they were not able to perform surgeries because they didn't have enough supplies. There was a lot of policies that were put in place that made it really hard to import drugs and medical supplies.
Yeah.
And, the current president has been in place since 2013.
So you're painting a picture. That means like the movies are kind of low on the totem pole here. Like,
yeah, that's not a priority.
Obviously, they're not getting medical supplies. They're not getting food. These people, yes, they could use a release and use escapism.
But who has money?
No money. And also, just to kind of tie it back, it's limited market demand. The audience's preferences is not in horror. They don't want to escape with horror.
No, there was something.
Venezuelan audiences have traditionally favored telenovelas, dramas, and comedies, genres that reflect local culture, humor, and social issues. Horror, being less mainstream genre, hasn't always resonated widely, and the ones that do are from Hollywood and international horror films. That dominates that market, often making local productions seem less competitive by comparison. And that's because it has an industry limitation, like you were saying, inflation and all that, technical and talent gaps from other, like Hollywood and your other international productions. So producing compelling horror often requires skilled visual and sound effects teams, as well as specialized understanding of suspense and pacing. These resources have historically been less developed in Venezuela. And then infrastructure issue, limited access to modern production facilities and equipment has hampered the ability to create visually sophisticated horror films, which I'm kind of impressed with this one. They had some CGI baseball in there. They had some effects in this.
Well, the other thing, so like I mentioned, the current president, the government is under an authoritarian dictatorship. So what he says goes. There's a lot of content
control.
So what he says goes ultimately at the end of the day. If he doesn't want stuff like this being developed and made, he's going to be another roadblock. And in addition to imports and collaborating with other countries.
Yeah, I also think there's a perception of horror from what I was reading, and I could be wrong, but a stigma against genre films. Horror, like other genre films, have often been dismissed as less serious or artistic compared to drama or political cinema. Venezuelan filmmakers might focus on earning critical acclaim rather than experimenting with genre work. And then I have a thing, it's risk aversion. Given the financial stakes, filmmakers and producers may prioritize more universally accepted genres over horror, which has a narrow audience. And like you were saying, with an authoritarian leadership, they're going to make this movie and it might never see the light of day if they don't agree with it. Mm-hmm. So they're more prone to make something that this leadership will approve, so it can get acclaim, so it can be seen.
Especially if it's depicting either his government or the country in any type of negative way, because those are kind of their go-tos, like, oh, anything that'll make us look bad, no, you can't make. Anything that's negative, or you gotta make it look pretty. You gotta paint a pretty picture. If it's not painting a pretty picture,
then we don't want it. But there has been a recent shift. So with the success of this film, The House at the End of Time, and a growing global appreciation for Latin American horror, e.g. Mexican and Argentine productions, there is a chance that Venezuelan cinema might explore the genre further. Increased international collaborations and streaming platforms also open up new opportunities for Venezuelan horror filmmakers to reach broader audiences. So while horror may not be a traditional stronghold in Venezuelan cinema, its potential remains untapped, and success like this movie could inspire a new wave of interest in the genre, which I'm dude, there's no way like it wouldn't inspire other filmmakers. Yeah. You can't avoid it. People are creative, it just happens. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool to see. And this director, coincidentally, his last movie that was made in 2021, I have notes on it. and we'll cover it, but I'm pretty sure he had Mexican support, like it was a Mexican production.
Collaborators?
Yeah, that invested in the movie
Nice.
that he did. So he did get an influx of budget from that. So yeah, and there is opportunities to do that.
It's very cool. Yeah, I did see when I was going over the cast, a majority of them, their credits were from soap operas.
Novellas, that makes sense. From everything I read, novellas are huge. Soap operas are huge over there, which they're kind of big in. Well, they're big here, not as much anymore. You don't hear about it much here, like Days of Our Lives and stuff. But in Mexico, you're always like, you've talked about a few of them, and you showed me a couple, and they're freaking hilarious. I don't know if they're meant to be funny, but some of the drama is over the top.
It is.
I love it. I love it. I could definitely act in a Mexican
drama
novella.
Queens, yeah.
I love it.
Snap, snap, clap and flip, man. You got this. Just say, no, mi novio, no. And then you cry a lot.
Jesus Christ. And just to touch on a little bit, do we want to touch the religion of the culture?
The culture, the only thing that I saw was, they're heavily a religious country, Catholicism being the majority.
Dominant.
Yeah. So who knows how intertwined the church is with the government?
So with it, though, I think it's very religious culture, so it's a fear of controversy that you have. And then their preference for stories are redemption. And who doesn't like a good redemption story?
Church likes redemption.
Films that they like films that focus on hope, redemption, or moral lessons align more closely with religious values, making genres like drama or family-orientated stories more acceptable. And then, just real quick, they have superstition and religious stuff. It's often blended with indigenous and Afro-Caribbean beliefs, creating a unique form of religious syncretisms. This cultural framework influences how the supernatural is perceived. And so supernatural themes are taken seriously. Ghosts, curses, and spirits are often treated as real within folklore and religious practice. Horror movies exploring these topics could be seen as disrespectful or too unsettling for mainstream audiences.
Doing your fucking candles. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Respect for the sacred. Some filmmakers and audiences may feel that addressing these themes on screen trivializes and distorts sacred beliefs and practices. So, is that what you feel I do?
That's how I feel. That's why I don't tell people the story behind the candles, because that's how
the
other
Winco
people
collection.
That's how other people will perceive it.
Oh my!
To them, it has a different meaning than a stamp.
It's more so your dad.
No, just in general.
This goes back to you hiding my Ouija board too, that I proudly put on my wall.
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm glad this is a cultural thing, man.
What do you mean a cultural? You thought that I was just embarrassed of you?
Yeah.
No, my dad doesn't like that
But
stuff,
so
so I
that
didn't
leads
want to
me to my-
explain it, so to avoid the awkward conversation, to be like, it's not real.
So that leads me to my next thing: fear of invoking bad luck. So in many cultures, including Venezuela, there's a deep-rooted belief that discussing or portraying certain supernatural topics, like demons or curses, can invite misfortune. This fear might deter filmmakers from exploring these themes in depth. So it's not concrete that this is more of kind of like, I think it applies.
Yeah,
like,
superstition again.
And then cultural sensitivity to death and afterlife. So Catholicism emphasizes the sanctity of life and the solemnity of death and the hope of salvation. Horror, often graphic and exploitative depiction of death, or its focus on nihilistic themes, might conflict with these beliefs. And then conflicts with religious teachings. Films that focus on hopelessness or portray the afterlife in a way that contradicts Catholic doctrine may alienate the religious viewers. So they're not going to be watching Hellraiser anytime soon. And again, they like moralistic storytelling.
Well, like even like I told you, like watching the exorcism and stuff.
Right.
They tell
It's
you,
big.
they tell
Yeah.
you in church if
You ain't seeing exorcisms in Venezuela, I don't think.
What do you? Oh, like the movie?
movies.
No.
Although this director, I think it's his last movie was.
The Exorcism of God. I kind of want to watch that.
I do too. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but it kind of ties into this. But what were you saying?
Oh no! So religion, Catholic religion tells you to not watch scary movies because every time you watch a scary movie, it opens the portal and you're letting evil into the world.
See, I grew up Roman Catholic, and I never
For
heard
how long,
that.
Richard?
Very early, I had a hard time
Oh.
with religion. I had a hard time believing at a very young age. So not that I appreciate anybody that has beliefs. I'm not deterring that. I just had a hard time with it. But I never heard that once in Catholicism. Like my grandparents were heavy Catholics.
I
they didn't push that on us.
So I think religion changes. That I started hearing when I was like a teenager is when I started hearing more of that with the church, recommending to avoid those type of movies because you're opening portals, you're welcoming evil into your life
into your soul.
Because you're like admiring evil, you're admiring death and all this bad demons and spirits.
Is it admiring? I think that's just skewed point of view because it's not admiring. Oftentimes you go to horror because it incites something in you. It scares you. It kind of makes you feel a certain way.
But you're giving
a feeling that you're chasing.
You're giving it attention.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it just like the whole Halloween thing, that's been within like the last 5 years that I heard about it. And I mean, at that point I was no longer going to church, but through extended family, the whole, now you can't, the new thing is you can't celebrate Halloween because that's celebrating again evil stuff.
Interesting.
They put the fear of God on you.
Before we get to the cast and directors, I did want to question this. Is this considered a horror movie since we've been talking at length? Here's what I have. This is just what I read.
So if you put it in the realm of just Venezuelan movies, what do you think it is?
So, well, yes, but here's my thing. It's safe to say that this is not a traditional horror film. It blends genres to create a more nuanced experience, while it includes clear horror elements, such as that supernatural occurrences, suspenseful atmospheres, and the eerie settings. It also incorporates other aspects. And this is where it more aligns with this. It's mystery and thriller elements. So, and then it has emotional and dramatic depth, spiritual and philosophical undertones, and low reliance on traditional scares. So as a horror fan, you may feel it's light on scares and intensity, making it less of a pure horror experience, which that's where I came from. Mm-hmm. Broader audience appeal, it's a accessible blend of genres, so it may appeal to those who avoid traditional horror but enjoy suspense, emotion, and supernatural themes. So my final verdict, this is my final thing that I came to.
Okay.
While it's categorized as horror, it's more, for me, accurately described as a supernatural drama thriller with horror elements. This genre blending nature is part of what has made it stand out and gain critical acclaim, even among viewers who don't typically watch horror films. So, yeah, I think it's more of a drama thriller.
Okay.
What about you?
I think it's a mystery psychological drama to me.
Yeah, so similar to me.
Yeah, because I can see the psychological. This is, again, they don't do, you don't see a lot of this movie, so I can see where the psychological might not be on the level that you're used to seeing it, where they fuck with you a lot in some of these other movies. So
and who's to say this isn't like a mind fuck for someone in Venezuela, like, my God, this is intense. It's kind of like the Universal monsters back in the day. Some of those movies weren't scary when you look at it in today's standards.
Yeah.
But when you first saw the Wolfman on the screen, you probably shit your pants.
Oh, look at the audience. You and I are so desensitized, blah, 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 blah. Desensitized.
I know. We watched Nosferatu, and then all I could just was hit Olak's dong, dude. Hit me in the face.
But like Diana made us watch Terrifier and just a bunch of other stupid
Even
movies
that
like
one,
that.
that one made me like, even though it was kind of a fake gore, it was still intense for me.
It's not scary, but just like you see so
Yeah.
much crazier shit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And just the intensity level. But yeah, I can see the psychological. I know that my mom would probably like love the shit out of this because she doesn't watch a lot of scary either.
That was Olok's dong in my face.
Oh my god. Rejuvenale the fucking dongo.
Well, come on, it wasn't necessary.
They wanted you to see it in his, and what did you say? In his most
Vulnerable.
yeah, vulnerable. Although he didn't care. Like my mom doesn't watch a lot of scary and horror, so I could see her like getting into this.
And it might be more the genre for like, I know
And then the
it
drama.
leaned more towards you, and I could see that leaning way more towards your mom, like the drama and all that. I think she would be into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's not super intense. I feel
Yeah.
like some intense stuff, like
They don't
we've
like,
showed
it's
your
so
mom
scary.
some shit, and she's like, "Oh my god."
She's like, she says that she gets nightmares and she can't go to sleep. So if she watches a scary movie, it has to be like during the day or in the morning, because if she watches it before bed, she will dream about
Nightmares.
it.
And I don't think this would do that to her.
No,
No.
she'll just see the man chasing her around.
Now, what about your dad?
He would watch it.
He would?
Yeah, it's not intense.
Okay.
So I think he would watch it.
Gotcha.
Would he like it? I don't know. I don't know if he would follow with the psychological and the time travel. He probably might. You might lose him there.
Okay.
He's more of the nature shows, hunting shows,
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
and action movies.
So we got to show him. We got to show him Deliverance
Deliverance.
out in the woods.
He
Have you ever
liked-
seen that? It's got Burt Reynolds.
He enjoyed what was that movie with Leo and the bear?
Oh, the Irreverent.
Yeah,
I think it's Irreverent, right?
Reverend, something.
Roll. No, I don't know. Do we want to go into the cast?
Let's go into the motherfucking cause.
And then we'll go director, and then we'll take a break after that. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So, how did you feel about this cast?
I like this cast.
They did a pretty good job. The acting was not the problem in this movie. Not that there was a problem, but they definitely, you know what I mean, though. Some of the movies we've seen in the past here, the last few weeks, acting has stunted some of these movies.
Damn, Richard.
You can admit it. You can admit it.
I forgot what we watched.
We've watched some clunkers, but the acting in this was not a problem. I enjoyed them. Everyone did a really good job. Maybe the police officers were a little,
Yeah.
but they weren't
the main
characters. Yeah, the main characters were holding their own.
Mhm.
And to start off is our main protagonist, Dulce. And how do you pronounce her name? Ruddy?
Rudy Rodriguez.
Oh, Rudy. 2 D's threw me off.
Rudy Rodriguez as Dulce. For her, so she, from what I was reading, this lady is like
She's a former beauty queen.
the VIP of Venezuela. She's an actress, businesswoman, model, and she was Miss Venezuela World in 1985. She participated in the pageant and she placed 7th.
1985? How old was
Yeah.
she? Because she doesn't look
She
that
does
old.
not look that old.
Because that would place her as like in her 40s or 50s in this movie.
Yeah.
Somewhere along there, wouldn't it?
40s at least.
Mid 40s.
Yeah, and she does not look like she was in her mid 40s.
Not at all. She looked like I would say mid to late 30s. I would put it there.
Yeah, so her credits are a ton of soap operas, and this is where I was telling you before, like soap operas in Mexico, it was where you have a different episode every single day. It's not a weekly thing. So some of the soap operas that she has listed, they went for a year or 2 years, but in those 2 years, there's like hundreds of episodes that were recorded because every day is a different episode.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so she's done TV, like special TV series and a lot of telenovelas.
Yeah. One I got is Nina Bonita.
Pretty
and-
girl.
Pretty girl. And then I have what is it? Yala Luna También?
Y la luna también. And the moon too.
Punto Rea?
I don't know.
Oh. Carcazo?
I have Pasiones Secretas, Francisco de Miranda. And more recently, she was in Cumbia Ninja from back in 2015. I do have that for when she took on the role where she was the older version of Dulce.
Yeah.
She was under makeup for 8 hours to play the
Well,
7-8
they
year
did a
old
pretty
lady.
good job of aging her.
Yeah.
I really liked her in this, and I don't mind watching some of the novellas. We should go back and watch Venezuelan novellas.
I can see her. I think she did a pretty good job in playing the stereotypical mom where she would scold the kids, but she would go to loving them, and she was trying to be, strict with them, and she had a soft spot for them. I can see that some of the traditional Hispanic mom there. I was like, oh, I see you, Dulce. And we have Gonzalo Cubero as Juan Jose, who was her husband in the movie. Again, soap operas. He was in Mestizo, Jericho, Santera, Hermano, Entintada, Bárbara, and more recently in Demasiado Peligroso in 2023.
Okay.
And then we have Rosmel Bustamante as Leopoldo. That was an older boy.
Leopoldo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a ton of stuff. I do want to see him in more things. I think he did pretty good.
Him and his brother in the movie were very cute kids.
Yeah, in his role, the way that they were acting, I would want to see some more work with them in it. Yeah. But a couple of the things that I wrote down, it was Música del Cielo back in 2010, Cuidado con lo que sueñas, and Dos de Trébol in 2014. And then we have his brother was Héctor Mercado as Rodrigo. I only found one credit for him, and it was on soap opera called La Virgen de la Calle.
Well, he was pretty young in this movie.
Yeah, that was in 2014, and I didn't see anything after that for him.
Wow. And then what about Guillermo Garcia?
Guillermo Garcia Alvarado, he's the guy that prays the priest. So again, TV. So he was in Venecia.
Hombres también.
Los Hombres También. So he was in Mayans, MC, the TV show from 21 to 22.
Oh, he fucking came over to the States?
So he got out, yeah. And then Asteroid City, 2023 with Scarlett Johansson and all those.
Okay. Yeah. I know that one.
So he was there.
He was in that too?
He was in that too.
Holy shit. So he's transcended. He's probably the biggest star then.
No, outside of Venezuela.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the last thing that I have is he was in Transformers Awaken the Beast in 2023.
You're blowing my freaking mind.
I'm blowing your freaking mind right now.
Holy shit, dude. I gotta look up Guillermo Garcia.
And then two other ones that I noted here are some of the childhood friends, just because I thought they did a pretty good job too. We have Yusemar Morales as Saraí, the little girl, Rodrigo's girlfriend.
Yep.
Again, she was in just one other credit, Una Mirada al Mar, and then Efraín Romero as Mario, his little friend at the end. And he was in the same thing, Una Mirada al Mar.
And he plays the younger father.
Yeah, the younger priest. Yeah, when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Did you have anyone else for the cast?
No,
that was the main cast.
Yeah, it brought together a talented ensemble, and it blended from what I've seen seasoned actors like Rudy Gonzalez, like Guillermo Garcia, with emerging talents, contributing to that film's critical and commercial success. I think it all played a part.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, like hopefully we see more of these kids. I don't know if they've done it anymore, but yeah, like you said, there wasn't a whole lot to look up. But man, I wouldn't mind seeing them in other stuff. They were pretty good.
They were adorable.
And then, do you want to move on to the director?
Sure.
Alejandro Hidalgo.
Good job. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy.
Shimmy, 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 shake.
Yeah, this being the movie that he's more
well-known for. And director.
And producer.
This guy, man, he had a vision and he made it happen.
Yeah, it have acclaim for its plot and twist, became the highest grossing horror film in the history of Venezuela. And it's been the widest distributed film in the world, which I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it kind of makes sense because this happened right at the time that the new president was taking over, that this movie came out. And it was released to 33 countries.
Oh, so like a good president or bad?
No, the one is the authoritarian, the one that's currently in place.
Oh, so this happened before him.
Right at the switch when he was taking place.
So there's progress happening and this guy's just like, fuck it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's distributed into 33 countries. This dude was 29 years old when he made this movie.
It's crazy.
I did watch a YouTube interview with some of the cast, and they were just talking about their experience with him. He said he was pretty nervous because he was very young. This was his first, full feature film. And he was working with Rudy. He was working with all these other actors that had a lot more experience. But he said he was really excited for this project that he had going on. A little nervous, but the other cast, they said he did a really good job. He was really focused on the vision.
It doesn't look like a film that is like a debut. This feels like this is a film that was filmed someone in the middle of their career, kind of hitting their peak. Not quite there yet, but almost there.
Yeah, and they all mentioned they're like, that they hadn't worked with the director so young.
So his influences, I do see his influence, the biggest one. So one was Alfred Hitchcock. So if you're in horror, I don't care who you are, you're influenced by Hitchcock, right? The one that I can see that shines bright throughout his filmmaking in this movie is Guillermo del Toro. A huge influence, and you can see it in this. There's some traces of Pan's Labyrinth a little bit in this.
I was going to tell you that last night because you were like, I don't know if this is horror. I was like, then you probably wouldn't like Pan's Labyrinth because Pan's Labyrinth is very drama.
It is.
Storytelling.
But I would consider that more fantasy than horror itself.
Yeah.
But it gets closer to horror.
It has monsters.
It gets closer to the horror than this one does.
Human monsters and mythological monsters.
Right. But when I seen that, when I was taking my notes.
That's online on the notes?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm so proud because I saw it without looking it up.
Guillermo del Toro. Well, like
not that, but it did remind me. It gave me like fantasy storytelling.
Exactly. I'm like, oh shit, that's why this movie
the house, the building,
the way it is.
The structure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool, and that gave me more of appreciation, I guess. I'm like, I see where he's coming from with his influences.
Yeah, his first feature film in English, like we mentioned, The Exorcism of God.
21. So these are the only two credits that I've seen. What else does he have? Now, I know he's probably done novellas. I know he's done that stuff. I'm talking about full-on movies.
Full-on movies. So this movie and then...
The Exorcism of God, right?
Eva, he was just a producer in 2015. And The House of Disappearance, he was a writer and associate producer. The Exorcism of God. And he does have a Tubi original where he is the director. It's called No Voltees or Don't Turn Around in 2024.
So The Exorcism of God, I've heard of this.
Okay.
Now, I didn't realize it's from him, and it's an English language.
It's his first English film, yeah.
A horror story co-produced by, and this is what I was talking about, by Mexico and Venezuela.
Oh, okay. So he collaborated with someone.
A botched exorcism. That sounds pretty awesome. A priest is haunted by a botched exorcism. That'd be cool. I like the concept already. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead again.
Oh, no. I was just saying the most recent thing was a Tubi original called No Voltees or Don't Turn Around.
Oh, gotcha.
And he's a director on there.
Oh, so he has 3. So I think what I like about him, Alejandro, is his movies. Well, this movie in particular, now I can't speak about other ones, but this one, I kind of get the feeling that he explores deep emotional connections, like his stories. At least in this one, how horror movies, I'm always complaining that it lacks character depth.
Mm-hmm.
This one, you get to know these characters inside and out. Like, it goes pretty extensive in the backdrop of human struggles, like grief, guilt, redemption. He ties it all in there. Now, is it a detriment of this movie? I think you're toting the line a little bit. I think he had a lot more than was necessary.
Okay.
I don't know if you agree. Now, I don't know if you agree, but that's kind of where I was.
For a horror movie, I guess. But I can see it from a soap opera. This aligns with a soap opera.
Perfectly. Even the intro to this movie.
Yes.
It's like a soap opera. I was like, oh shit, what are we in for?
Some of the dialogue
Don't
too.
judge a movie by its title.
By its intro.
Yeah, its intro. But yeah. So this movie came out in 2013 or 2000. I thought it was 2011.
2013.
11 must be in the movie.
Yes, honey. 11, 11, 11.
That's where I got 2011. Fuck. I'm like, where's this 2011? I
on
keep
the mirror.
I apologize if I kept saying that in this episode, guys. It's 2013. I have it in the notes, and it's in red. It's so clearly I was making that mistake in my mind already. And then I have just kind of, again, I was wondering why he had such a long gap between this movie and then The Exorcism of God. And there wasn't any concrete things, but it's kind of factors that we were already talking about: industry and funding challenges, transition of international filmmaking, creative development, and independent filmmaking realities. So lack of studio backing. That's kind of the thing. And then high expectations post debut. So there's a few things that are kind of going up against him that I think prevented him from doing more movies kind of more frequently. His opportunities haven't came as like quick as others.
Okay, we're watching The Exorcism of God. Some of these images look fucking nuts.
Looks pretty good. Well, we'll cover it. Can you put it in the notes? We'll cover it in next
And another
round. I'll actually put it in my notes.
Ooh. Yeah, the makeup looks pretty cool.
Does it?
Ooh wee.
Oh, hold on here. Let's. Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, I see the Mexican actors on here.
You do?
I see one that I know, Irán Castillo, Maria Gabriela de Faria, Will Bainbrink.
Huh. That's funny. Whitman Fadley. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I probably can, man.
Did he respond to you?
Yeah. He's like, whoa.
What did you say? Richard's terrorizing kids. He's trying to help him make plans.
I'm like, hey, Wheaties, this is Richard, just extending an olive branch and inviting you to the New Year's get-together with Vienna and the family. We'll get you home before midnight. Vienna was too embarrassed to ask. And then he's like, I don't know if I should go, talking to Vienna. And then I texted, definitely go. And then he's like, whoa, okay, I probably can.
You're so mean. You're embarrassing these kids.
Dude, oh my, they're only 15 once. It's hilarious. Anyways, I digress. Should we take a quick break?
Let's take a break.
Okay. We will be, do you want to say it? Lead us out.
We will be right back.
Hola! Welcome to Timeless Living Realty, where we turn your haunted housing nightmares into heavenly home ownership dreams.
That's right, Richard. Whether it's ghost in the attic or a timeless void basement, we specialize in properties that are off the grid.
And off the grid, we mean off every plane of existence. That's right, folks.
Take this charming fixer-upper, built in 1892. It comes with all the original features: antique doorknobs, ornate moldings, and a self-slamming front door that will greet you or scare you every time you come home.
Oh, and don't forget the disappearing guest bedroom, my absolute favorite. It's a timeless space. It's there at 9 p.m., gone by 10 a.m., perfect for those guests who overstay their welcome. That's you, Uncle Buck.
And for the adventurous buyer, we offer this spacious open floor plan basement.
Floor plan that leads to hell.
But think of the entertaining potential. Demons are very social creatures after all.
At Timeless Living Realty, we don't just sell homes, we sell experiences.
And maybe a little piece of your soul too.
So if you're ready to find a home that transcends time and terror, give us a call today.
Because your dream house is only a seance away.
All right, we are back. Man, we just watched the trailer for The Exorcism of God. That we're definitely covering. That was the shit, dude. That trailer was awesome.
That looks creepy. It gave me the hibbity-jibbies, man.
I like it. I can't wait. That's going to be on the docket once we're almost done with this round of movies. What do we got left?
Oh my god, we have a monster collection coming up.
Creature features, baby. We got Anaconda.
My Anaconda don't. And then we have Tremors.
One of my personal favorites.
And then American Werewolf in London.
Ow, ow. I love that.
And then Session 9.
Okay.
Have you watched Session 9?
I've seen
someone
parts
said
of it.
Fucked up.
I'm excited for American Werewolf because, you know, I love werewolves.
I'm excited for
Tremors,
Anaconda.
dude. Tremors. Anaconda's good too. I love Ice Cube.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That was a movie right after Friday, I believe. for Ice Cube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
He just went into killing a big ass snake.
There ain't no snakes in this motherfucking plane. Oh, wait. Different movie.
Different movie?
That's Sam Jackson.
Oh, Snakes on a Plane?
What you've never seen.
I have watched it once and I don't like snakes, so I was like, I'm good.
It's not even... It's more of a comedy.
You were stuck in a plane with snakes.
Okay. Now, have you written a plot for this? Because
I
I will say I really like my plot.
Oh.
I'm bringing it this time.
Oh.
You thought I brought it last week, the week before, and the week before that. But this week's the shit.
Okay, let's hear it.
You go first.
You got a big mouth over there just blabbering that it's so juicy.
You go first.
Why?
Because.
El plote. Uno, dos, un, dos, tres.
Wait.
I'm going.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
The house at the end of times takes you on a journey through space and time as Dulce tries not to lose her mind and trying to figure out who killed her husband and kidnapped her son 30 years ago. Full of mystery, the house was built to give us the answers to her creation and instead got bored and started kidnapping people, putting them through a game of spin the wheel and spitting them out on different timelines. Fast forward to 1981 or 2011 and follow the story of young Dulce unknowingly work with old Dulce to save young funeral Leo's life from her second choice husband. This story takes us through a trip of a lifetime in solving this mystery of whodunit, where the only thing missing was Neil deGrasse Tyson's narration.
Wow.
The end.
Wow.
Was it just as confusing as the
yes,
movie?
It was. You were throwing a lot. You were throwing everything and the kitchen sink at this. But pretty good. I like it. You ready for mine?
Okay.
Pretty excited. Okay. The house at the end of time tells a tale of Dulce, a woman and her family battling immense poverty, a husband whose main contribution is disappointment, and a house that's not just haunted, it's decaying faster than her hopes for a better life. With each passing day, the walls crumble, the roof leaks, and Dulce struggles to stave off starvation for herself and her children, while her husband's inability to provide only adds to the despair. But this house isn't just falling apart. It's alive with secrets, and there's not the kind you want to bring up over dinner, if there even is a dinner, when tragedy strikes. Dulce's world spirals into a nightmare of time-bending chaos and buried horrors where the past and present collide in ways that can make Albert Einstein lose sleep. As Dulce fights to hold off her family together in a home, determined to unravel everything, the story blends supernatural dread with everyday horrors of poverty and desperation. Equal parts chilling and hauntingly absurd, the house at the end of time will make you question whether it's the ghosts, the decay, or the empty cupboards that are the real villains.
Bom, bom, bom. You got too political, man.
No, I
and
didn't.
too accurate, and too drama, and too in depth. I hate it.
Oh, wow, because it's good?
Yes.
It was good, right?
Okay.
Wow, you really hated it?
No. I was like, why did it turn out good? You were struggling to stay awake through the movie last night.
I watched it three times.
I know, you got one over me.
You're saying this is my first good one?
Huh?
First good plot?
No, you took it. you watched it 3 times, man.
Oh,
to
I got
really
one
analyze
extra.
it. Yeah.
Well, so I kind of had a rough the first time I watched it, right? I had an idea. Second time, I was reworking it. And third time, I really got to hone in on it.
It's because you're the creative one in the house, and I'm the analytical one.
You're creative too.
No, I like my boxes.
What?
I like my boxes.
You do like boxes. You like storage. I'm figuring this out about you. Like, nothing excites you more than getting a nice piece of like furniture or like storage unit stuff that like give you a cupboard and you're going nuts.
It's just like the organization. It gives me zen and peace.
Like you were trying to push a Christmas gift on me that was storage
no, I wasn't.
For my tools.
I was trying to buy you something for your fucking tools.
But
yeah,
you're like,
welcome.
As soon as I said storage, you're like, storage?
I'm done. I'm done with this conversation. Goodbye.
I'm kidding. I love you.
Our jeans look very nice, by the way, in the closet.
Te amo.
Storage boxes.
Te amo. That shit means forever, man.
I love you too. Stop judging my admiration of organization containers.
I love how
why chaos?
I love how
Just
you put it,
organized.
organizational containers.
Yes.
Cool. Anyways, let's get back to the movie. Do I start getting into that scene for scene? We haven't done this in the last couple episodes. We've kind of stayed away from the scene for scene, or we've kind of jumped all over the place. So we wanted to kind of get back on the saddle, so to speak.
The house that we're about to see, it's a real house.
Yeah. So opening scene is setting. The film opens in 1981, correct?
Yes.
Introducing us to Dulce, a mother living with her husband, Juan Jose, and their two sons, Leopoldo and Rodrigo. And you're quickly seeing that this house is a dilapidated house.
Well, we see her wake up in a frenzy.
What?
She wakes up. She has a piece of broken glass in her hand.
Yeah, that's right.
Blood and a cut in her face.
Cut on her face.
Nobody knows what's happening.
And she's stumbling down the stairs, right?
It's nighttime. Yeah, it's dark. So she goes and gets an oil lamp and lights it up. Did you ever play with those?
A lamp?
An
Yeah.
oil lamp.
Yeah. A lantern.
A lantern.
So it's kind of chaotic. And then she goes down there, and what you see is her husband, Juan, doing his...
Juan Jose.
Juan Jose, he's laying there with a knife in his neck. She's like, oh my God, holding his hand. And then all of a sudden he like jumps at her and grabs her. And then all of a sudden goes back to sleep and he dies.
Goes back to...
And then she does see, we don't know it yet, but Leo, her son, but we don't know it's her son at the moment, but we do find out. She's like, hey, come back to me. And then all of a sudden he's sucked into
the house.
You see this, it's a dark space. So he's in a dark doorway and he's being pulled through it. And then the door slams, right? And that's the start of this movie. And then this is when we get into the intro that looks like a total soap opera or novella. At least I did. And this is where, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, what are we watching? Because it even has the way it's filmed, it has like a soap opera tint to it.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? It's kind of foggy a little bit. Like it has that, like, it's not like super immersive, super saturated like color. It's very cloudy. Like, am I wrong on that? No.
You're on it, man.
On it. Okay. What happens next?
So we fast forward to a jail, and you hear this narration.
30
being narrated.
years. We fast forward 30 years.
It's being narrated in the back that Dulce essentially was blamed with the death of her husband and
missing child.
And the death of her son, who they are just assuming he's dead because they never found him.
Yeah.
She's getting the maximum punishment, but they don't specify what the maximum punishment it is. And then
she's getting released because of her old age. Like, there's a certain age you hit, but she's not released. She just gets to go live in her dilapidated house while guards.
Dilapidated.
How do they have a budget for guards just to sit outside?
That's what I was gonna say. How is it cheaper to keep her at her house and have two police sitting outside watching her?
It's not.
But it's a privilege that they have for older women, is what she's told, of her age, to finish her sentence from home.
Yeah.
And there's this lady, I don't know if she's like her attorney or something, but she's like, you'll be good. Like, don't fucking mind. Just take what you can. There's food in the house. They try to fix it up a little bit, so she'll be set. So
is she getting groceries and stuff provided to her? And how do they letting her live in this dilapidated house? Clearly it's condemned. I'm having a hard time.
They don't know that. I mean, that's her house,
but
her residence.
It's all broken down and it looks like shit.
Oh, what do you want them to do? They live in poverty. It's not like they're gonna make it all pretty.
And how do they not pay taxes, property taxes, or anything on these houses?
Well, she's been in jail for 30 years.
Yeah, how is this still in her hands? How does she still own this house?
I don't know. It's a gift.
Riddle me that.
Well, at one point they do say that the house, we'll get into it, but the house was
for
taken by
poverty.
the government and they give it to people who live in poverty to help them.
Yeah.
So maybe
Which,
they
why
did
didn't
take
they
it
give
and they
it?
gave
Why
back
didn't
to
they
them.
give it to someone else?
Because it's cursed, man. Nobody wants to live there. People die there.
But nobody knows that.
And clearly, it's been documented on the newspapers.
So yeah, now she's elderly and she's living in here all alone, and she kind of has an attitude.
She's just not happy.
So this is where we do meet the priest. What's his name?
Not yet. So she remembers before the whole thing happened.
So kind of the theme of this movie is they're going back and forth. We're
Yes.
going back to 1981, then we jump back to the present.
2011,
So
yeah.
we kind of go back and forth throughout this movie.
Mm-hmm. So we jump back to 1981. She's having a memory of her kids coming down to eat breakfast. This is where I was getting some of that traditional stereotypical mom.
And she's like, "Hey, slow down. This
She
is the
doesn't
only
want
food we
him-
got."
She doesn't want them home late. And she doesn't want them dirty. She's like, I don't want people talking about you guys, saying that I have little animals. And she tells them over and over, she's like, don't fucking be late. You guys got homework. And they leave without saying bye. And she chases them and waves them goodbye. We come back to 2011. And this is where we meet the priest. So he comes knocking. He just wants to introduce himself. He's the priest at the church.
What's his name? Or did they just say father?
He's just the father, el sacerdote.
Okay.
He wants to welcome her back. He wants
And
to
she's
talk
like-
to her.
And she's like, "I don't need God. I don't believe in his shit."
But I think that's funny. She's so casual. She's sitting there like smoking her cigarette while he's talking to her.
Well, and she just doesn't want anything to do with it. And she's like, "Why do you like God? Because you don't have to sleep with women."
And he's like, you know what's my favorite part about my job? She's like, what? That you don't have to touch women? And I was like, she's a dick.
That was pretty good, though. I'm like, "Oh shit, that's
She's all
pretty hardcore."
serious.
That's pretty hardcore.
But essentially, he's like, my favorite thing is seeing kids smile. He said, just seeing them happy when they get things that they usually lack of. So he tells her that the church opened up an orphanage and they have kids there for like 5 years. And he's like, I know what people say about you. I know what they think you did.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know this yet, but he said that he doesn't believe someone who, who loved her kids as much as she did would be actually capable of killing her own son.
Right. He's not believing it. He's
No.
totally like, he's on her side, which later we're going to find out why.
And she's like, all right. So she takes him downstairs. So when we saw Leo disappear, it was to like a basement, like a concrete rock
This
basement
house is
thing.
a freaking mansion. This thing's huge.
It is huge. And so she takes him downstairs and she's like, this is where he went missing.
Yeah, and it looks like a old medieval times.
Yeah, and he even asked, he's like, what is it? She's like, I don't know. It's always been here.
Yeah.
And, she's like, when she woke up, she found her husband's body and she had blood. She had some of her son's blood on her. And her fingerprints were also on the knife. So that's when she got blamed for everything.
Was this her real house?
Huh?
Was this a real house?
It's a real house.
That's crazy, dude.
So this house
It's like a castle.
is, let me see, I have a note right here.
1892, isn't it?
So the house is in Caracas, El Paraíso,
Where the director's from.
in front of Parque Naciones Unidas. So it's in front of a park.
Cool. Cool.
And I lost my spot.
Shark.
He believes her that she didn't do it. And he's like, all right, well, who didn't? She's like, the house did it.
If the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
Yeah, and she's like, I didn't touch the knife. And then she starts mentioning that there were intruders in the house.
But they did say, and that's your first clue, her prints are on it.
Mm-hmm. And they just assume, which it sounds kind of crazy, they just assume her son is dead because they never found him.
Usually, I mean...
Maybe he was just kidnapped.
But he's never turned up. He's dead.
And then we go back to...
He's dead or he got time traveled. What are you going to believe here?
That's so reasonable. So we jump back to 1981. You see the kids is the same day when they left their mom's house after breakfast.
Yeah.
And they meet up with a bunch of kids. And this was fucking funny. they bring with them water balloons. And there's like 3 boys. So Rodrigo, Leo, and Mario.
3 or 4.
Or 4 boys. And then there's 2 girls. And the girls were like, all right, get to it. And I was like, no, they're fucking not. And they peed in water balloons. And they filled them up and tied and carried them around with them.
I did this as a kid.
Did you?
Yeah, we were assholes. We'd throw them at cars.
You guys are dick.
We were young and dumb. I don't condone that. So if you're a child or a minor, do not throw these at cars. If you throw it at my car, I am running you over.
YOLO.
No.
You gotta live your own life, Mountain. Don't listen to Fraser.
I'm running you over, man.
You're rude. And then from here they go and they play baseball. They're riding their bikes around town. And they run into this guy. I'm assuming he's some sort of like important politician dude. He's like in a suit and tie. And the girl, Sudi, she's like, excuse me, sir, do you know where? And she acts like she's going to ask him where something is. And he's paying attention to them. And she goes, do you know where the son of a bitch is? And throws a fucking pee balloon at him and get him fucking all dirty.
And he's all pissed.
Yeah.
And they ride off laughing.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's showing you the day in the life of these kids. They're having a good time, lighthearted, pretty close-knit.
Yeah, and then you see there's a little fight that starts because Rodrigo is defending Sarai, so he has a crush on her.
Yeah. And his brother's jealous.
Yeah, I think he has a crush on her too, Leo.
Yeah.
But he won't admit it. They start calling each other names and start throwing those pee balloons at them. And that's when I was like, oh, their mom's going to be fucking mad because she told him she doesn't want him dirty. So then, lo and behold, it's fucking nighttime, and that's when they show up home after she told him not to be late. And Rodrigo's like, what's going to happen? And Leo's like, well, you better get those butt cheeks ready because she's going to spank them. And she opens the door, and immediately she gives them that mom look, and she's like, really, you guys?
Yeah.
She sends Rodrigo to bed, and you can tell they both had showers, and Leo gets put into a study room, to do his homework. And he's testing the waters, and he's like, hey, Mom, I love you. And she stops, and he's like, I'm hungry. And she's like, I'll give you food. And he's like, how come, Rodrigo got to go to bed and I'm here? And she's like, you're the oldest one. You need to set a good example for your brother. You can't be doing stuff like this and showing up late and doing whatever you want, essentially.
She's like, you're doing your homework.
Yeah. And then one thing that's a pretty strong symbol you're going to see for the rest of the movie, she has like a piece of like a pearl necklace of some sort.
Yeah.
She breaks off a piece of this pearl and gives it to Leo and says, all right, you're going to stay here, be a good kid, and do your homework. You're going to keep this with you. If you ever need me, you just hold it really tight and I will be there for you to protect you. Yeah. And at first he's like, you're kidding. And she's like, I don't lie. She's like, I'm your mom. So just believe me. And he's like, all right, I'll believe you.
And not that she's there, that everything's going to be okay. Like that has a power.
Yeah. She goes back to her room. And then she's just kind of going around her room and starts opening. She has a bunch of fucking boxes with locks.
What I don't get about this house and what I don't get about her, she locks every door she goes through.
I know.
It's like, what the fuck? Why?
She carries her keys in her pocket.
And there are so many doors in this house. It's insane. There's a door leading to another door. That leads to another door. It's like a maze.
Every door she was unlocking. And then she has her boxes. She pulls out a box from under the bed, and then that has a key to another box.
Yeah.
And then she grabs a letter.
She likes her containers, too.
And that's right, girl. She pulls out a letter, but we don't get to see what the letter says. And her husband gets home, and she kind of hides it.
Yeah, right. It's a letter. It's like, girl, I miss beating them cheeks.
You're
essentially.
And
we ain't clicking heels, we knocking boots.
He's trying to make conversation, and she's like, you can tell she's upset. He's like, what's wrong? She's like, I don't like sending the kids to bed hungry. I thought that she was just punishing them for getting home late, but they don't have food.
Yeah, because Leopoldo, he's like, Mom, I love you. And he's like, Mom, I'm hungry. And she's like, well, you're going to eat tomorrow.
Yeah, I thought she was just punishing them because they were late.
But no, and it makes sense when she says this because she does kind of have that look of guilt and shame, like she can't provide it. But you don't pick that up until you hear this.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't like sending him. And he's like, it's all right. He's like, I'm doing what I can.
He brought it for the week.
He's like, I bought
food.
something for the week. And she's like, dude, that's not fucking enough. Essentially,
Pretty much,
you need to be
you're
doing
not
a
a
little
real
bit
man.
more.
You're not a real man. You're not providing for us. We know who wears the pants in this relationship.
And essentially, he's like, I'm working on it. And she's like, dude, like, should have happened a long time ago. There's a lot of things in this house that should have been fixed a long time ago, and they haven't.
Which I kind of feel bad for Juan Jose, because he probably is working pretty hard. But then again, he's going to storm out and go to the bar and spend that beer money.
That little bit that he had.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, he gets pretty butthurt and he leaves.
Although he is getting a bad rap, man. She's like, screw you, you're a POS, I hate you.
And she gets up and she's all mad too, so she's on her rocking chair. And next thing you know, there's knocking coming on her door. She's like, what the hell? And she thinks it's Juan Jose at first.
Juan Jose, and then it doesn't stop, and then she looks out the window, and he's walking to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, Leopoldo, go back to the office. You got to do your homework. I told you to stay there. And then it still doesn't stop. Right? And then it slowly opens.
Yeah. And so she has the lock chain at the top, which stops the door from opening all the way. Which
I don't get, because like it opens incredible amount that like a small individual could slide through that doorway.
Yeah. Or put your hand through and
to unlock
take the chain off.
Like, isn't the purpose to have it
and that's
tight?
exactly what happens. An arm sticks inside and tries to grabs Dulce's head.
So this is your first clue, at least for me. It looks like an old person's hand.
Okay.
Whether it's male or female, looked like female because of the nightgown.
Okay.
Arm sleeve. Did you put that together?
I thought it was an old person.
Yeah.
So Dulce, she manages to get out of their grip, goes and grabs scissors from the counter, and comes back for the door. And
stabs at the hand, but the hand moves quickly.
Yeah, the hand was trying to grab that chain and open the door all the way, but yeah, she moves. At the same time that Dulce is hearing knocks on her door, Rodrigo is experiencing the same thing. There's knocking on his door happening.
Yeah, beating on the door, shaking the handle.
And he's calling out for his brother. And he's like, Leopoldo, is that you?
Yeah.
And
he
gets up to open the door, sits down again, and he's like, fuck it. So he hides under the blankets.
The door slowly is opening, and he hides under the blanket.
But he's sitting there on his bed, so he looks like a little ghost sitting on the bed.
Yeah.
With the sheets over, and through the sheets, he can see the silhouette of a person approaching him.
And it does look like his brother.
Yeah. And so you see this, and at the same time, he screams. At the same time that they're both Dulce and Rodrigo are having this, we see Leo leave the study room, the office.
Yeah.
And here's his mom on the phone, or not on the phone, just yelling, threatening to call the police on someone, but he doesn't know who.
And she hears Rodrigo scream. She starts leaving the room. Leo goes in the door. She sees that door. She doesn't see him, but sees someone walking through that. And you see an old figure or a shadowy figure go in the door as Leo's walking up to his mom's door. So all this is happening at once. So she goes and rushing to Leo's door, is shaking the handle. She's shaking it now, screaming for him. Doesn't open. And then she's like, oh, the key that she didn't have on her, apparently. Mm-hmm. And then she goes and tries to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. And then we go back to Rodrigo in his room. And the sheets get pulled off of him. But we don't see who it is who took the sheets off. And so she makes her way into the kitchen. She doesn't find the keys where they're usually hanging. They're gone. So she goes into the kitchen and she grabs a knife. And she goes back to the study and uses that knife to get inside the study room with Leo. And she's like, why were you screaming? And he does not answer at first. And they hear Rodrigo screaming. So she runs to Rodrigo to see if he's okay. And that's the end of this. The next day, the police show up, so they call the police, told them that someone had been at the house. She was the only one that saw it. She says that she thinks Leo saw something, but he's not talking or saying anything to anyone.
Right.
And so they're just like, I don't know. And this is where we learned
And
that
the
when
cop
Jose
is like-
was at the bar.
And the cop's like, calm down. You need to calm down, lady.
Yeah, they do. And then the other thing they ask, they're like, do you know who used to, like, who the former owners were? Like, who would have been
And
here?
this is where we find out, no,
They don't know.
the government gave this as for poverty.
And then
pretty much she's blasting Juan Jose being not a good provider in front of the cop, and he's embarrassed.
damn.
But he's like taking it like a good cuck does.
Richard.
He doesn't say anything. He really holds his temper. I'm not on Juan Jose's side, but man, you kind of got to feel for the guy. He's just getting kicked.
Kicked on the nuggets over and over.
He really is. You don't agree? She is like not pulling any punches.
I got from her she's a strong character.
Yeah, she's like, fuck this dude. He's not providing.
She's like, I was Miss World fucking pageant. Fuck this house.
Miss Pageant 1985, bitch.
Yeah. We
Oh,
am
fuck.
fucking doing this.
That's hilarious.
Now I can't feed the fucking kids.
Yeah, man.
I said good day.
You knocked me out twice and I can't feed these kids.
So after the police leave, Leo finally, he opens up and he's like, hey, Mom, I saw the person that was here. She's like, what the hell? And he's like,
Gives her a piece of paper.
Tell you. He's like, but don't get scared. And she's really confused by this.
Yeah.
And he says, she told me not to play with Rodrigo. And he said to give you this note, but don't get scared. She told me not to read it. And she's like, what the fuck is happening? And he's like, why can't I play with Rodrigo? And she doesn't know right now why he can't play with Rodrigo. So there's a lot of confusion
But
going
you
on.
said for 3 days. I didn't see where they said 3 days.
Later on,
Oh.
you see that it was 3 days.
In the note?
No, when she's...
Oh, in the note it says...
Oh, the note?
Is Juan Jose's going to kill your kid or something like that.
But we see the note later on.
Oh, okay.
Right here, it's very, like, mystery driven. They're giving you little crumbs.
Gotcha.
So we go back to 2011.
She's clearly concerned about the note, but
She is.
can't figure out heads or tails of it.
Mm-mm. So 2011, current time, older Dulce is getting ready, and she turns, and there's an older gentleman just walking around in his whitey, tidy
He's
gown,
got a
shorts,
beard, he's old,
and
he's knife, and this freaks her out naturally.
And he gets close to her in the bathroom, and she closes the door, and she locks herself in there for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
She finally comes out, and she's yelling at the police out the window because there's just two policemen just stationed outside her house.
So I'm going to say it. This guy's from 2071. Is he just meandering around this house naked
I guess.
in his underwear,
He does
waiting to be
whatever he
transported?
wants. Yeah. Like fucking. What
And
are those
because he can't
movies?
see her for some reason, or at least he doesn't acknowledge her.
I think he's just ignoring it for now.
But he wants to be seen. He wants to transport.
He's from Back to the Future.
So
He
he's
had the
living.
crazy white
So
hair.
he's living in the house, and it's all dilapidated still. That's
I
where I'm
don't
confused
know.
at. I don't know.
You and this fucking dilapidated.
How is it surviving to 2071?
The house?
Yeah, there's no way
Maybe
it would in
someone
this
came
condition.
and fixed it.
Maybe, or did he fix it when he was
Maybe
younger?
he fixed it.
I don't know.
I don't know. So many questions.
These are just questions.
little
I'm
answers.
just again, I look for the continuity of movies to my detriment. I know
In the mirror, she spots there are
that bald-headed spit fuck. Just joking.
5 11s and blood.
Oh, that's right.
And she's like, what the hell?
Why was it in blood?
Because he had no writing utensils
Oh, okay.
at the house. I don't know. Here's knocking, and it's the police, and they're like, yo, are you good? And at the same time, we see the father, the priest, he's doing some investigating on his own about the house. Because the last time he met her, she said the house did it, and that they had invaders, and he's like, what the fuck? So he's flipping through, he goes to the library, he finds a book by Ephraim Eckert. And turns out this dude built the house originally.
And he's in English. They were English, right?
He's an English fella.
Yep, English settler.
And so after finding this, the priest goes and visits Dulce at the house. And he's like, hey, I know. He talks to the police and he's like, I know it's not visitation day. So they let him go and see her every so often. He's like, can I talk to her? And
the cop's pretty liberal with it. He's like, hey, man, come whenever you want. She needs God.
she's
a little
losing her
loco.
mind. Yeah, he's like, she's saying that she's said that she's seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so he goes up and meets with her, and she's like, yeah, I saw an old man. He had a knife. He probably wrote with blood. And
so he does see the 11, 11, 11, 11.
he's seeing it, yeah.
So, but does he think she did this at this point or what?
I think he
I
believes
feel like
her.
he's believing her, yeah.
And he tells her, he's like, hey, just so you know, the house was built over 100 years ago. This Eckhart guy, he was an English mason, and he was obsessed with the house. And he traveled from
the area,
England.
not the house, the location.
Yeah, he was obsessed with the location. He traveled there to build that house right there because the guy believed that that spot was the absolute truth to the creation of human race.
Yeah.
But one by one, Eckhart and all of his family members have disappeared since from the house.
Subsequent families after that.
No one ever saw them again. And ever since the government claimed the property as governmental property and offers it to those who are needy. But since, like you mentioned, other people have disappeared too.
Yeah. So they send the poorest of poors to live there to disappear.
To feed the fucking hungry time travel. So
typical government.
No, and it fits more into it. To me, he shows her pictures of the house. I don't know if you noticed some of the symbols outside. It was like a triangle with an eye. I was like, fucking Illuminati.
Yeah, that was funny shit. Yeah.
So they're just fitting. I don't know if that's where he was going with this, but I was like, oh my gosh. And then we jump back to 1981 again. So it's back to after the police left. Leopoldo gave his mom the note. Everybody's still rattled up.
And she's adamant she doesn't want them playing. She's got him cooped up. But Juan Jose, he's frustrated. And he's like, no, I sent them to go play. And she's like, what?
She's like, they can't be together. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? She's like, if there's something.
Which naturally, I would be like that too.
And he's like, if there's something going on, you need to tell me this. You can't just be acting all weird and upset. And she's like, oh, there's a bad vibe. Like something is cursed here. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, Leo also saw the intruders and gave me this note. And this is where young Dulce shows Juan Jose the note. And it says, Juan Jose will kill your son. And I was like, oh, shit.
And he's like, what the fuck?
He's like, who gave you this?
At this point in time, he does not feel that way.
No, and he's like, who wrote it? And at first, I think he thinks it's her. And she's like, no, it was not me.
So... And it keeps showing the picture frame with him and the two kids happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going back and forth with this. So it's like, how could he kill him? They're happy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But he does think she's making this up. He's like, you need to put these stories to rest. This is make-believe, yada, yada, yada.
And instead, she starts packing. She's like, you know what? Our relationship hasn't been working for a while. Yeah. I want a motherfucking divorce. And he's like, oh, hell to the no. You have no money. Like, you can go live under a bridge, but my kids are staying in the house.
Yeah, you ain't taking my kids.
Yeah. And he's so adamant about this and shakes her up a little bit. And he's like, no, you don't take my kids.
He grabs her aggressively, right? Her arm.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I've been the only one to feed them. He's like, you'll never see him again if you take him because I will have him back.
Yeah, he's like, you think you'll get custody? Think again.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to see the kids playing outside on the street. So at first we see Rodrigo and Sarai. They're talking. Mm-hmm. Rodrigo's flirting with her. He gives her the little pearl.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know where it came from because we only saw Dulce give one to Leo.
Yeah.
But not Rodrigo. So Rodrigo has one now. And he's like, here you go. And he kisses Sarai.
Which doesn't make sense. Because if he gave Rodrigo that, spoiler alert, Leo gives Rodrigo this.
You don't spoil it.
So think about this, though. This pearl, then Leo still has it as an old man and shows her the pearl. He wouldn't have had it if he gave it to Rodrigo, who Rodrigo gave it to, what's her name?
Sarai.
Yeah. So he would not have that.
Oh my God, stop. You're confusing me right now.
It doesn't add up. He wouldn't have the pearl at that point in time. There's a couple times where he shouldn't have that.
Oh, maybe he stole it from Sarai. He's like, bitch.
No,
That's my
because
bro.
at the end, when they link up, little Leo and the dog
Oh my
say,
spoiler.
has the necklace.
Okay, slow down.
Of the pearl.
I know. Slow down, though.
I'm just saying, there's a little continuity.
And that's the end of the episode, you guys.
I'm just saying. All this, I'm doing the Final Destination Devon Sawa here.
Oh, spinning.
I'm putting those dominoes together, bro.
Yeah, so they kiss, and Leo's watching him from afar, so he's getting a little peanut butter jelly, and he's like, what the fuck? And so Rodrigo tells her the same thing that Dulce told Leo. He's like, hold it very tight, and I'll be there for you. And when Leo sees them about to kiss for the second time, he yells at Rodrigo, and he's like, hey, come on and play. And he's like, all right, I'll go. He gets up and he turns to Sarai one last time and he's like, hey, do you want to be my girl? Or no, she yells at him and asks if he wants to be her boyfriend.
And he's just a player.
He's like, although we already was, girl.
Yeah. So he clearly, out of the brothers, he's got the moves.
The moves.
Yeah.
So then they go back to playing baseball. And at this point, you can tell that it's really bugging Leo because they're tossing the ball, they're playing around, and Leo keeps calling him names. He keeps calling him a dwarf and a baby just to kind of like piss him off and get back to him. And they're playing. So we see them running. At the same time that the kids are playing, we see Dulce's on and about trying to figure out something for the house and what's going on. So she's looking for like a fortune teller.
Mm-hmm.
And she finds this really rundown house.
Oh, and this creepy fortune teller. So this fortune teller is considered brain dead, and it's her sister that kind of operates her and works with her. And basically, she just comes alive.
She was in a car accident. She's stuck in between the dead and the living world.
Yeah, but she's like brain dead.
She can see the future, yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy, and that was a creepy part of this movie. Her eyes are fucking nuts.
Cloudy and weird looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so whenever people want something, like the sister communicates through her, and she's like, oh my gosh, the spirits. So they're like, we want to help you, we're going to help you. So they go back to Dulce's house. They go back to her house, they get set up to do their seance in there, and they ask to see the note. And they're like, okay, what we're going to do here is really, really important that you don't open your eyes no matter what you hear.
And trust what you see. We really need you to trust what you see.
No, they said you can't trust what you see.
Oh, I thought it was. You need to.
No, because they said that eyes can be deceiving. Here's what you see. So that's what they kept telling her over and over. Once they started, there were like noises, things happening. And every time that Dulce freaked out, they're like, don't open your eyes. Don't open your eyes. You just got to keep them closed for this thing to work.
But they told her she has to take in what it's telling you, because when she does, like, she can't take it anymore. They're like, stop. We need to know.
So the thing, at one point, like when shit got real, Victoria, which was the scene lady, she started saying, Papi, or Daddy, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was like a conversation that she was having. She was repeating a dialogue, a conversation that took place
Leo.
between two people.
Yeah.
And it's, Daddy, please don't kill me. And what are you doing, Daddy? And it was like, no, you're not my son. And Dulce gets freaked out because she feels someone touch her and she freaks out and she's like, okay, this is over. Everybody fucking leave my house.
Yeah, get out of my house.
So they do. And then we go back to the baseball field and the kids are still playing.
You know what sentence is uttered throughout this movie?
What?
¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó?
Hey, papi, dime qué pasó.
Dude, you hear that throughout this movie at least 100 times.
So we're saying, what happened?
I know. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? Almost every other line. I'm like, what the fuck?
¿Qué pasó, Richard?
Yeah.
I think that's what Lucas learned in Spanish. He's like, ¿qué pasó?
¿Qué pasó? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué?
So we go back to the baseball field one last time. We see the kids are still playing. And Rodrigo keeps hitting the balls. Leo's making fun of him.
And he's super jealous and he's mad. So he's really like lashing out.
Yeah, so
on the baseball field.
Throws the ball super hard. It hits Rodrigo right on the forehead, and he falls back and onto a rock.
Yeah, kills him.
And
instantly.
the kids, they finish that round, and then they realize that Rodrigo's not getting up, so they go check on him, and Sarai picks him up, and she's like, dude, he has like blood coming out of his nose. And they're like, oh, fuck. They know that it's fucked up.
Yeah, he died.
Fast forward to the
Which
cemetery.
is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, kill your sibling.
Your own brother. Your only brother.
They fast forward to the cemetery. You see his childhood friends are there. And something that the priest says is, today is November 11th, is when we're burying Rodrigo.
Mm-hmm.
Yada, yada, yada. And at the end, everybody leaves. And at the end, Mario's the last of the kids that's left. And Leo approaches him and he's like, hey, now you're my only brother.
Yeah.
And
they
have a little handshake. And then we fast forward. We jump back to 2011. At the church, the father, he wrote down the whole 5 11s that they found on the mirror.
Right.
And he's studying them. He's trying to figure it out, what it all means. And then it just like comes to him. He looks at the calendar. It's November 10th of 2011. And the clock, it's 11:11.
Well, he smokes the same cigarette in this sequence, this montage. Like he's working hard, thinking hard. And he's chain smoking in his chambers. That's what it looks like if you watch the scene. But it's the same cigarette at the same length the whole time.
I see. You caught on to that?
Yeah. Because I was like, damn, I don't smoke anymore, but that cigarette looks fucking dope.
Oh my God. Do you just want one so bad?
I do. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God. It sounds so amazing.
It sounds so amazing. Especially when we go grocery shopping.
I like my cigarettes like I like my clothes. Sonoma.
You're dumb.
It's an old brand. You didn't believe me. So, real quick, Kohl's has a new brand, or I don't know how new it is,
new.
but it's Sonoma. I'm like, what the fuck, Sonoma? I'm like, that's cigarettes. The only reason I know this, my grandma used to smoke Sonomas.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like a pinkish red pack.
Oh.
Sonoma.
And
what's up?
You are a reformed smoker. You remember this.
I just like,
You're
oh
just
my
like, oh my God.
I could smell it even. I'm like,
are you serious?
The Sonomas, because I'm like, oh, I could smell my grandma. Like, it always takes me back. So I know that smell distinctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my grandma, get out of here.
That's
Anyways.
not the reason you're over here fucking thinking of cigarettes.
Anyways, I'm not a dirty smoker anymore.
Ever since you got your man flu.
Yeah. Got me out of it.
Got you out. So he puts it together that all the 11s are a date.
Man flu?
And
it
a
was a
time.
flu. Get out of here.
Okay.
Anybody could have got that flu, and everybody did, okay?
I didn't get it.
Back to myself.
And then we see Dulce. She's like self-harming, like burning her arms with a cigarette. And she grabs a knife and she goes to cut herself, and the father shows up right on time.
So why'd she put the cigarette out on her wrist?
To torture
mark
herself?
But to mark the area she's gonna stab, because she's like gonna stab that area.
I don't know.
It was weird. I didn't understand that.
Yeah. He's like, dude, it's not necessary. And she's like, listen, father, I've suffered loss. It's been 30 years. People have thought the worst of me. I went to jail, lost my kids and my family.
I say good day.
I said goodbye. She's like, I survived hoping to find my own son, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's been like way too long.
Right.
And then the police comes up.
But he is like, hey, don't do this. Give me one more day.
No, he says it's one more day.
Yeah, but he's like, one more day. Just one more day is all I ask from her.
Yeah, the police comes up and he's like, hey, father, it's not visitation. He's like, the other cop said it was fine. He's like, not today. It isn't. Leave.
And how could that guy even be a police officer? He can't see.
You're so stupid. Leave
His
that poor
eye
man
has a
alone.
scar. It just didn't work, dude. Like, you've seen that. I seen that. He had a lazy eye. Like, the eyelid didn't work. There's no way. How could he pass the exam to be a police
he's
officer?
sitting there outside the house, okay, and not out in the action.
So he's more of
Maybe he injured on the work.
He's more of a security guard. Like,
He got
what are the
injured on the
Metro? We have Metro here. He's from Metro.
Anyways, So the father's like, finally. But before he does, he tries to give Dulce a rosary. And she's like, oh, I don't believe in that. I don't think God's with me. And he's like, just
and
take him.
This is where he should have been, like every other movie. Vaya con Dios.
And he's like, and by the way, it's a date. It's November 11th of 2011 at 11:11 with 11 seconds.
That's some.
He's
That's
like,
a lot of
one
ones,
more
man.
day. And then we go back to 1981. And Juan Jose is all sad because he just buried his son, Rodrigo, the youngest one.
He's smoking
and
his pipe.
he's looking at like, is that where he drops the pipe?
Yeah, his corn cob pipe.
Uh-huh.
And he goes down and he gets on his hands and knees and he sees underneath the bed that
mystery box.
Organizational container. And
That's
he
chest.
opens the box, grabs keys, and then he goes over to the other one, unlocks that, and he's going through it, and then he finds this letter in there, and he starts reading it, and it reads it out loud, right?
Yeah, and it's like, Dulce, give our son my first name and give him your husband's last name.
Don't leave Juan Jose because I'm dying.
Juan Jose is a good man. He will be a good daddy.
Good provider. Man, was this guy wrong. His judgment is terrible.
And it's signed Leopoldo. And that's fucking the older son's name.
Yeah.
So he puts it all together and he's like, bom, bom, bom. And we see him leave the house.
He's
and
like,
Leo,
I lost 2 sons today.
And Leo sees him leaving. He's like, Dad? And he doesn't say anything. He just leaves.
Storms out.
Right at this time, you see an older person, someone outside on the other side of the house, trying to get in. And Leo gets freaked out. He's still wearing his funeral outfit, all in black.
Trying to get in?
Old Dulce. She's trying to get in the house.
Oh.
After Juan Jose leaves. And so he gets freaked out and he runs. And then this is where it gets really chaotic in the movie. Old Dulce is inside, walking around the house. She sees young Dulce from 1981. And this is where we see that it was old Dulce, 2011 Dulce,
It's
trying to break into
together.
the room. So yeah, it opened like a portal. So 2011, 1981, you can just walk in it through the door.
So it wasn't ghosts that you're seeing.
It was
all this family.
version.
Yeah, it's all this family doing things at different times.
In the same house.
Yeah, in the same house at the same
It's
time.
fucking nuts. It's like a multi-universe happening inside this house. But yeah, so it's 2011 Dulce who's trying to break into the room where 1981 Dulce was.
Yeah.
And she thought I was an intruder. And then when she sees that it's young Dulce, she leaves.
Which, at this point, this is where the story breaks down for me. Why wouldn't you, if you're old Dulce, be like, yo, you're young Dulce, what's up? I know you. Don't grab those scissors. Like, it's not Leopoldo, it's not Juan Jose, it's me. It's you. You know what I mean? At any point, communication.
Would you believe it?
Is this like a cultural thing? Because communication doesn't happen. I know with your family.
I'm going to walk out of this.
Because you have a hard time communicating.
Okay, we're done.
It's like you guys could say something. Just be like, yo, hey.
No. We're moving on.
Just assume. I love it.
No.
I guess it's just cross cultures because my family does the same thing. I don't understand it. I guess I over communicate.
I think that's what it is. You're the odd one.
I know. I'm the odd one. I over communicate. Just makes sense. This is where the story kind of the hole gets poked.
So she hears noise. So all Dulce runs into the study where Leo was.
Right.
And then we see funeral Leo from 1981. He's in his little outfit. He's the one going into Rodrigo's room where Rodrigo, we never saw initially who it was. So it was Leo.
So they're both having a weird experience, like Rodrigo and Leopoldo.
And Leo's scared because he just buried his brother. And now there's a freaking person sitting on his brother's bed. So he pulls off the sheet and it's him. And he freaks out and hugs them, and they hug each other.
And before that, he peed his pants, and Rodrigo's like, man, mom's going to beat you. You smell like a pig.
Yeah. And so he hugs them. And then we see young Leo from the start of the movie, not the
Why-
funeral, but like back when the movie started.
So why in this situation too, old Dulce, why wouldn't she say, why is she so vague, like, don't play with your brother? Why not just say, hey man, don't play baseball ever with your brother. Like, you're going to kill him.
No,
Do not do that.
So right now she does.
Nuh-uh, she doesn't say that. She's like, oh no, just don't play with him for 3 days.
Yeah, that's all he had to do. Just wait 3 days.
Be more specific. Like, you want to save both your sons, right? So be more specific and be like, yo, this is why you don't play baseball with him. You're going to kill him, dude.
But what if it was a butterfly effect and now they're not playing baseball, but now they're playing tag and he falls in a fucking
It's worth a
ditch?
shot. At least communicate this shit, because you're already telling him, hey man, don't play with him, because it's going to happen regardless then in that what you're saying. So why even tell him all this if you can't change the what
Because
happens?
he just said, she said, don't play for 3 days. The end.
Right, but you can say, don't play baseball, man.
I know, but what if it changes and,
I was
it's no longer
and
baseball?
I would be like, you know what, Leopoldo, don't play baseball, but just don't play with him for 3 days, man. You guys sit at home, chill for 3 days, and you should be good.
That's what she said. She said, don't play for 3 days.
Be more detailed, though.
You're going to kill your brother?
Yeah, do not do it. Do not
That
play.
would be freaky
Because
to
then
a
he would be
kid.
like, and then he'd be like, oh shit, dude, I'm not going to play with you.
Ever again.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
I'm just saying. Communication, guys. It goes a long ways.
So she says, don't play for 3 days. And she's like, here's a note for your mother. Give it to her. Or me, but in a younger version.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we hear young Dulces outside trying to get into the study. And then we see Funeral Leo talk to Rodrigo. And he's like, here's this little pearl. It's a moonstone.
Yeah.
It's going to protect you. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be there whenever, like.
So Funeral Leopold gives his pearl to
To-
Rodrigo, who Rodrigo gives to Suri.
Sarai.
Yeah. So this pearl, how to make its way back to old man Leopoldo.
You know what? Sarai fucking died, and he took that pearl and took it to 2071. Boom. That makes sense.
But
Thank you.
it didn't explain it. It did not explain
Maybe
that
Sarai
shit.
went into the house
Because
being nosy.
technically she was his mom at the end of the movie.
She was his mom?
Yeah. Like
Hmm.
she adopts him.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, we don't know that he got the pearl at the end of the day, do we?
At the end of the day,
Yeah, at the end of this movie, we don't know that he gets the pearl back as old man Leopoldo.
he did, because Sarai went into the house because she was so sad and missed them both. You're just glaring at me, and she died.
But she didn't
And she
adopt
threw
him.
her necklace.
We see more of my explanation than yours.
Just go with it.
Oh my god. I'll allow it.
It's okay. The listeners can decide.
Yeah, we want to hear from you guys. Watch the movie, and I want to hear your interpretation.
It's on Peacock and Tubi, I think.
Please, yeah, is it? Because yeah, we watched it on Peacock. Definitely watch it. It's worth it.
I was listed on Peacock or Tubi as well.
Stop listening to us and go watch this movie.
And tell us how Leo got the pearl back. Anyways, yeah. So she disappears. Then we see young Dulce come in, and she's like, what happened? And then she hears Rodrigo scream, so she goes and checks on him, and she's like, what happened? He's like, oh, Leo scared me. He was playing around. And then old Dulce runs into the old man again.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like he sees her, but he ignores her, and he like makes his way downstairs. So she's freaked out, but at the same time, she's like, hey, who are you? And gets no answer. And then we see Leo again. This is the same day as the funeral for him, Funeral Leo. And sees his dad, and he's like, hey, I just saw Rodrigo. He's alive. And his dad doesn't say anything, just stares at him. And he's like, all proud, shows him a drawing that he did of all four of them.
Yeah.
And the dude just grabs the drawing and scrunches it up and throws it on the floor.
Yeah. What a fucking dick.
And the kid goes up to give him a hug, and he hugs him, but then you see him lift up his hand with a fucking knife.
Yeah, he's going to stab him in the back.
And he tosses him on the floor. And he's like, I am not your dad. He's like, I only had one son and his name was Rodrigo.
And then
he's like, never call me dad
and
again.
Leopoldo thinks it's because he accidentally killed his brother that now his dad's mad at him for that and can't forgive him.
With all of this going on, we see now funeral Dulce come out of her room.
Yeah,
and she's like, hey, what's going on?
And then he's like, I know about Leopoldo. And she's like, okay,
like,
can we talk? Can we
bong.
go talk? And he's like, no. And then she's trying to walk it back. She's like, you know what? And then gives him a big old kiss, trying to like be loved. And then all of a sudden, she gets all fucking fiery and spicy. Doesn't give it a chance. And she's like, no, screw you.
Smacks him.
Yeah, it smacks
like,
him. You really escalated the situation. You didn't give it time to neutralize.
Mm-hmm. While this is happening, old Dulce sees the old man, and she decides to follow him into that weird basement castle-looking thing.
Yeah.
With a candle. And at the same time, Juan Jose is chasing Leo around to kill him.
Yeah.
Just because it's not his fucking son. The kid doesn't even know. Like, why don't you go after the mom?
What good is that going to do for you?
Nothing.
I guess
like,
I don't understand that
let
part
out your
either.
anger on Dulce. She's the one that kept it a secret from you.
Yeah, I understand
like,
that.
Yo, what the fuck?
I still don't understand that, but I would understand that more than killing Leo. What's the point?
Nothing.
The guy's innocent.
Yeah. He doesn't, to him, that's his dad trying to kill him.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't know any better.
Trauma.
Drama. So the old man finally acknowledges old Dulce and he's like, listen to my voice. Look at my face.
What she did that to him when he was a boy.
Mm-hmm. And he opens up his fist and here has the moonstone.
He's like, I stole this from Sahira.
From Sarai's bones. He's like, it's your son, Leopoldo.
In 2071, we have flying cars. And somehow this house that was built in
open to the top.
Somehow in 2071
like
with flying cars and we have floating buildings, but this house that was built in 1892 is still here.
And we have Bruce Willis flying a taxi.
Fifth Element. You're throwing the Fifth Element in this universe?
Yes.
Okay.
Why not? You said flying cars.
Jesus Christ.
And we travel to space. And he essentially breaks it down. He's like, yo, I've been waiting for like fucking forever for the house to like rotate back so that I can see you again. He's like, nobody knows what the fuck's up with this house. Not science, not religion. No one has been able to figure it out. It's like some sort of weird, crazy portal. He's like, what's important is that the day that you saved him, Juan Jose was going to kill me. And you got there just in time.
And she's like, no, I didn't.
And he's like, on November 11th, the house will take you to 1981. And he hands her a knife and she's like, I don't want that.
And she's like, you want me to kill Juan Jose?
Yeah, he's like, you already did it once. And it was the only way to save me. He's like, you need to go back. She's like, wait. She said, and then she asked if there's a way for her to go.
Talk about ultimate sacrifice. Because she knows damn well she's going to imprison herself for 30 years. I'm sorry. I wouldn't do it. I'm like, fucking sorry, Leo. You're going to die at 12 anyways. Screw you, dude.
Oh, my gosh. Damn.
I'm going to be kidless. And
you want a Chancho? You're going to kill him?
What? No.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is 30 years in prison or...
Kill your kid?
Is it killing your kid?
Let your kid die.
The disease is going to kill you.
Well, if you're not even trying, man, don't be a parent.
Damn.
When she wants to know there's a way that she can travel far enough back to where she can also save Rodrigo. And he's like, look, only that house.
Hey, we were just talking about butterfly effect. You're just prolonging the inevitable? Like, what's going on here?
What do you mean?
Like you said, he was going to kill Rodrigo regardless. So we didn't need the details. But then she
killed Rodrigo regardless?
His brother. Whether it was baseball or badminton or whatever you said. But why wouldn't the same concept apply to this? Now you interfered and saved him.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know. She likes Leo more because that was her true love. That's what's up.
Well, and she couldn't say. I don't know, man.
But
Communication would have solved all this.
Oh, Leo, he's like, you don't get to decide what time you wake up in. Like, the house gets to decide. He's like, the family and the Masons who used to live here, they got spit out in a future time. He's like, so take this knife, do the thing. He said, when I was 12 years old, I had the first symptoms of the same disease that my biological dad had and killed him.
Yeah.
But in 1981, there was no cure for the disease. He's like, so go back and save me. So then we see old Dulce. She takes the knife. She goes and she runs into Juan Jose.
Still doesn't register, though.
And at this time, Juan Jose...
Saving him.
No. Yeah. And at this time, Juan Jose is really close to stabbing Leo. Funeral
Has the
Leo.
knife in his heart, dude.
Yeah. And she comes and starts like fucking going Chucky on him and just stabbing him. And he turns around and he's like, who are you?
She's like, look into my eyes.
Look, hear my voice.
He's like, no.
And
no.
he passes out.
Very soap opera. No.
And then, yeah. So
my name's Juan Jose.
Leo got a small cut and she's like tending to him. And she's like, all right, this is all I have to do. This is all I have time to do. Like, I gotta go. And he's like, she's like, be a good boy and take care of your mom. And
like,
he's
what?
like,
No, I'm gonna go with you.
He's like, he wants to go with her. And now we see funeral Dulce arrives. So after she got thrown and manhandled by Juan Jose, she passed out. So she wakes up to find Juan Jose dead.
Picking up where
old Dulce left.
Well, picking up where the intro happened.
Yeah. So and then we see old Dulce, she makes her way down into the basement.
Yeah, and she's just watching above and then having
Leo's at the top of the stairs.
But having the epiphany that, oh shit, I gotta save him.
Yeah, she's remembering what old Leo said, the old man.
Because communication in this family isn't very clear.
Oh my God.
Instead of just saying, hey, pull my ass back down and take me to 2011 and save my ass, he's like talking in like riddles.
Yes, it's a drama, man.
I'm just saying. Make it obvious.
And then, so she's like processing, it clicks. And this is where we see funeral Dulce. She's like, come to me, my sweet little child. And then he gets sucked into the walls. But it's old Dulce that takes him. And then we see funeral Dulce. She calls the police. She gets taken. She gets blamed for all the deaths. She has no idea what the fuck just happened.
All the kids are watching them being taken away.
And then we jump back to, we settled, like, the time fucking traveling, like, stabilized itself, and now we're in 2011 again. And she says she cost everything, and the father's there, so she's talking to him. She's like, did I do the right thing? He's like, is this gonna be good or bad? And she's like, all right, now follow me. Be very careful, because he's very gentle.
Yeah, he's fragile right now.
And she leads him into a bedroom, and we see funeral Leopoldo alive and well. And the father goes up to him and touches him. And he's a little, like, shaken up. And he reaches out to shake his hand. And when Leo does, he does the little butterfly, like...
Yeah, their handshake. Their special handshake.
And it clicks on Leo that it's his childhood friend, Mario.
Smile and they hug.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that she says is, okay, I was able to get my son out of this crazy fucking timeline. But now she's old enough that she can't take care of him. So she asks the father if he'll help take care of him. And he's like, he has a disease. The symptoms just started. Like, now it's 2011, so there should be enough medicine and, medical care to take care of him.
Yeah.
It's a heart disease thing that he
inherited from his dad.
Mm-hmm. And so the father's like, all right, don't worry, I got it. And then he takes him. And the police realize that he's having kids walking out of the house with him. And he's like, hey, who is that? And very honest, he's like, it's the son of the accused that he got pulled out of like a timeline from the house. And one of them just laughed.
And he's like, no, it's a kid from the orphanage.
Yeah. And so they let him go.
And then they're walking down the street. And then all of a sudden we see grown
Sarai.
Yep. And then she sees him and she's like, oh my God. And then Leo, doesn't recognize her at first, but then does. When he sees her necklace, she shows him, and it's the pearl.
And
That
this is
should have been his. Somehow he got it back. We don't know.
maybe this is where.
No, she adopts him. Because they're talking about finding a good home. She's going to adopt him.
And this is where I got
Bye.
very soap opera vibes, because you just hear the entire time that the priest and Leo are walking out, it's old Dulce narrating, and she's like, show him that life is good and the world can be happy and
Make him
take him
smile
to experience things, being a good old mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And that is the end of the novella.
Cha-cha-cha-cha. Yeah, good. Yeah, good novella.
Yeah. Before we go to our next segment, Vienna's Review Corner, we're doing that today, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to take a quick break?
Sure.
All right. We will be right back.
Boop, boop.
All right. We are back. This is the segment everybody, I guess, waits for. Vienna's Review Corner. Vienna, how are you doing?
Yeah, good.
You're doing good?
Yeah. Ow.
How about you, Angeles?
I'm so peachy right now.
The birth giver. How are you?
Stoked. I'm good. I'm sipping on this ponche Cuba, man. Oh, that's pretty good.
Cool.
Cool. How are you, Richard?
I'm hanging in there, you know.
You're hanging in there?
Yeah.
He's tired of us.
Cool. Cool beans. Vaiana. La Casa al fin de los tiempos.
I didn't watch it.
That's your media. You didn't watch it?
No.
Why not?
Jesus. I don't know. I was distracted.
By
My friends.
Oh.
Kind of like your friends get Christmas gifts and your mom doesn't. I'm
no,
putting
they
you on
don't
blast,
because
dog.
I'm broke.
Where's my cookie?
There's cookies on the counter.
You didn't give it to me and said, here you go, birth giver. Here's your cookie. Put it on my hand.
We're not here to put Vienna on blast
You
You
just said
threw
you
her
were
under
under
the
the
for her selfish reasons.
I'm not. I just have no money.
That's okay.
Somebody, Vienna is unemployed. She's looking for a job. Hire her
You're funny. No, I'm kidding.
for reviews for
Ow.
your podcast.
Okay, cool.
Well,
So you didn't see the movie. We can't have you rate it. We didn't do our ratings, by the way. We'll do that after this review. What do you have to provide for this in the review corner?
Reviews.
Okay, other
the whole
people's
segment,
reviews.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's see it. Let's hear it.
Sorry, I'm burping. I didn't want to do it in the mic. Someone said, okay, so it didn't make me tinkle my pants out of fear, but for what it is, I felt it was well crafted, and I found that ending to be strangely satisfying, which doesn't happen enough these days. And then someone else said, I thought this was well done. I do like a good haunted house movie for sure. I like how the story unraveled. I was definitely engaged throughout this movie. And then someone else said, you'd have to be a cold-hearted cynic to not be moved by this one. I'll disagree with a previous reviewer and say that the kids' acting was great. The scenes with the kids just served to get me more emotionally involved.
Someone said the kids weren't good.
Mm-mm.
I liked that. They did amazing.
I think they did all right, but it was just kind of went a little longer than needed.
No,
We already established that earlier in the episode.
we said they did amazing.
They did a good job, but the story didn't need this much.
Children.
Yeah.
Someone else said, highly enjoyable haunted house thriller with an interesting twist. And then someone else said, it's giving elevated and gothic with bizarre style, but overall so Spanish. And then someone else said, a little heavy on the sap at the end, but ultimately pretty satisfying and less confusing than a lot of other time travel / multi-dimension movies I've seen. The story also seems pretty original once it unravels. Someone else said, not exactly a horror film. I like the setup and the story on the whole, but the film has missed a few opportunities. Threads are dropping and never picked up again. With tighter editing, this could have been great.
I think that was a Richard review.
No.
And
Well,
then,
keep in mind, this was his debut film.
Yeah.
and then someone else said, a fascinating horror movie about time travel that I've never seen executed this way before. Don't be fooled, this isn't your average haunted house.
Okay, cool. Good reviews. I like it.
What would you guys rate this?
Well, before that, so it seems like this was for people who did watch the movie. It was received really well.
Yeah.
Is that the vibe you got?
Yeah.
There's not too many haters
Mm-mm.
at all? You couldn't find any?
No. They were hard to find.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I just would have loved to hear a couple of them, but it's okay. It's okay. A little contrast. I'm kidding. How would you rate it, Angelus?
I think I would rate this movie 8-3.
You give it a 3?
Mm-hmm.
A solid 3? For this, I would give it I'm right there with you. I'd give it a 3. Is it a horror movie? Not in my eyes, but it's a mystery thriller with time travel. Scientific mystery thriller for me. But yeah, I give it a 3. It was a good story.
For sure.
Drug out a little bit long, but it was a long hour 40.
Hey, what's your favorite kill?
The only one, well, I guess we had 2. We had Rodrigo and we had
Juan Jose.
So I'd have to say Rodrigo, man. Getting hit
Really?
dead center, yeah.
Dang, I like Juan Jose's.
You did?
Yeah, because he was trying to kill Leo and it wasn't his fault
Okay.
that he wasn't his kid.
I just like the CGI baseball that just like was perfectly edited.
Hit him on the head.
Yeah.
Is that pop? I saw for some of these scenes where the director would put the kids in the room and try to tell them scary stories and play with the doors closing and them opening and shutting the doors to kind of get them into that mindset and rattle them before they actually started filming so that they would have some of their reactions be more natural, that they were actually scared.
Okay.
So he would set them up and be like, let me tell you a scary story. Bye.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, fascinating story. So
Genuine.
yeah. The next movie we're covering, we already covered it, but Anaconda.
1997.
I know, I'm stoked. I do want to touch on, we do have a giveaway, guys, coming out if you're not aware yet. Please, it's a good giveaway. We're giving away a life-size Good Guy doll, Chucky, with a Funko Pop, and then a 4K movie, Child's Play 3. Plus, you get a Horror Cinema Obsession t-shirt with our logo on it, which will be pretty cool, and then some stickers as always. So please look up the post on Instagram and
Participate.
yeah, participate in it.
Share.
I will give the answer. So the question, what traumatized me most in Child's Play 2? It was when Chucky ripped off his hand and replaced his stub with a knife. He jams a knife into the stump. That traumatized me as a child. So I will accept that answer. You just got to listen to the podcast. Now you've got it on 2 episodes. This one and Child's Play 2, which it's about, I would say 10 to 15 minutes in the episode.
It was that early on?
I think so.
Oh, I thought it was later on.
I could be wrong.
It could be wrong.
You know me, I jump ahead.
You do.
So yeah, any other than that, do we have anything else?
Do you want the critics' ratings for the movie?
Sure.
IMDb gave it a 6.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 72% and Google users 83%.
All right, so pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, we're going to wrap it up?
I suppose so.
All right. Hasta
Legosi.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to Horror Cinema Obsession. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If so, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And join us next time for another episode of Horror Cinema Obsession.